a lot of people made fun of lifestyle businesses that just made money and provide a good whatever. And it was all way too focused on the VC world, which is a 1 out of 10 business. And that world had looked down on these lifestyle businesses. We're just good businesses that were making money and growing. And this was some stuff they talked about 10 years ago. And I think they were dead on, which is there's a lot of ways to run a business. There's a lot of ways to make money. You could do the churn and burn. You could do the we're going to build our people. What's more authentic to you? But there's always a trade-off. I see founders raising money a lot and they'll send me their deck. And I'm like, hey, there's no slides at the end about how you're going to liquidate this business. You're asking people to put money into it. And how are they going to get their investment back? You've completely ignored, pitching to investors, how they're going to get a return on your investment. Once you do this, there's no going back. There's no being a small profitable business once you raise $5 million. So I always think start with the end in mind and work backwards. Some people say if you're not doing ideas that can change the world and going for 10x, then you're not making a difference. What we need to understand, what they actually said was in the presentation 10 years ago, and they were correlating this to business. You see the LeBron Jameses, you see the Michael Jordans make the NBA, and so everyone else thinks they should drop out of school. I don't think people realize how the Amazons and the Facebook, that you get one or two of these a decade, and it may be a lot of luck and timing as to like the ability to lose a ton of money and raise a ton of money and have that work. We don't see the 9 out of 10 that failed doing that. We don't see the guy who didn't make the NBA and wish he had finished his senior year. We hear about the ones for whom it worked.
History is really written by the victors, right? So, the losers don't often get a chance to outline losing.
It's survivorship bias. Nassim Taleb has written all about this, right? When we look at the sample, we completely ignore the losers.
And also losing is not necessarily a bad thing, right?
Again, if we look at the folks that have done it, this is the problem. Bezos, or maybe not a Zuckerberg, because I think he hasn't done those pieces. But let's just objectively maybe look at a Musk or a Bezos who's gone all the way through. That is the 1 in 10 million, right? That's, again, people are going to point to that. I actually think people point to exceptions rather than rules or majorities. They're going to point to that, and you'd say, actually, pointing to that would tell me that it didn't work in 99.9% of the cases, rather than pointing out to the 0.1 where it worked very visibly.
That's a little insight right there, is that the majority of what we see are actually the exceptions. And so we should be digging below to figure out what is the actual rule that we should be thinking that actually exists.